Welcome to the show. My name is Stephen D. Kelley, and this is the Stephen D. Kelley Show. And we are Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It is now 6:01 p.m. It is May 18th, 2023. And if I haven't said it enough times, my birthday is in actually a couple of weeks, okay? May 28th. 10 days. 10 days. You still have time to send me those care packages of special goodness that I know you want to send me for my birthday. You know what I was thinking? It's actually, okay, let me just put it this way. This is not the show. I'm just harassing you guys right now. Because I can, damn it, because I'm crotchety. And you know how crotchety I am? I'm going to be 65. Can you believe that shit? I know. I don't say that out loud, especially to some people. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. How old are you really? You know, I'm not going to say. But yeah, I qualify for Social Security. But, you know, I'm thinking, wow, this is like one of those birthdays where it's a 0 or a 5. You make a big deal out of it. But I'm thinking, no, it's not just a 0 or a 5. It's not like, oh, you turned 25 or 35 or you're 40. Yeah, these are all big deals. But no, you make it 65, you're almost dead. Come on, you're officially retired. Nobody's going to hire you no matter what. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would hire you if you had lots of, I could think of some people who are pretty valuable. But if you have to work after that, you're screwed. So, well, unless you live like me in poverty. So this is why I'm imploring you guys, remember my birthday, and thank you for the people that have, the two of you, actually. There's 2 or 3 of you. 2 of you, yeah, 2 or 3 of you that have actually done something so far. So where would I be without you guys? Anyway, but yeah, it was pretty scary there for a while. But yeah, I should be having like this big party and people, like all my fans that are at least in LA should be coming out and having this, putting on a big old gig for me right in a hall, like, oh, surprise, you know, who are you? Oh, I'm such and such person. That's on, what is it, Telegram. Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Oh, we're going to wait until there's 0. Okay, well, it'll be you're going to think I'm going to be, I already told you guys I only plan on being here till I'm like 75, so geez, okay. All right, anyway, never mind. I guess we'll just have to wait until it's all over and we can take it over the Getty and we'll have a party at the Getty. Ha, 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 ha. All right, we'll get serious now. Oh, by the way, before I get serious, I'll throw this out there. The PayPal is Stephen Kelley 714 at yahoo.com. And you got to say friend or family, you know, like you would if it was a birthday gift. Or I got to send it back. That's just the way it is. Sorry. But thank you for your effort. Now, on with the show. I wanted to come up with a title. Basically, there's a concept that I've been having to grapple with that I need to get through to you guys because this is kind of important. It's kind of a wake-up call. It's kind of a bubble burster. And if I had to come up with a title for the show, it would be something like, There Are No White Hats. I've got to come back and remind you. Now, a reoccurring thing in my life, of course, being on Telegram, is I've still got people out there, as fervent as they may be about the mission, they're still out there absorbing crap from other people, like, you know, I don't know, Greg Braden, or sometimes they just don't even want to mention the name. They'll say, I heard, or they said, or I read, something of this nature. They say, well, I can't post links, so I can't tell you what it is because I can't post the video. Anyway, I've told you over and over and over, these guys, if they're not seeing Getty, ignore them. But that's a big thing, and that's not really what I want to talk about. But before I move away from that subject, one of the things that I've come to realize, other than this thing I need to talk about, is that ultimately, to be effective, at least with respect to our mission, being part of it, being a Jedi, being whatever, if you come to my table, if you come to my house, you want to be part of this mission, you join the groups, you're there to learn, as you say. To do that, basically, you have to accept that the information I'm giving you is true, and that it's the only truth out there, because obviously There is no other source for this information. And this, after all these years, is the same information. It's the same mission. It's the same slogans, the same whatever, over and over again. Occupy the Getty, occupy the Getty. What do we got to do? Rescue the children, occupy the Getty. It doesn't change. Now, I know some people are talking about Alex Jones, and there's memes out there saying how Alex Jones is out looking for new conspiracy theories because all the old ones have been proven true. Okay. Well, wait a minute. Hold on now. What is the purpose of this conspiracy theory thing that's been proven true that Alex Jones is supposed to be telling about? Aside from entertaining you, it's like trying to manifest when you want something, and the universe is going to let you want. And if that's what you're there for, because you like wanting something, or if you're there for because you want to be entertained, or you want to keep getting this information no matter what with no purpose, then that works really fine. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to actually become inspired and motivated and take that information and learn enough to where you can apply it like a genius with a single-sided purpose towards the objective, the single objective. But no, that's not happening. But for us, yes, it is happening. So I really can't stress that enough. But here's the thing. Those of you that have no choice, you can't get this through your head. You come to our page, you're bored. Yes, Occupy the Getty can be boring. Hearing the same message over and over can be very boring. Rescue the children, that's all we say. Bring in more people, grow this group, that's all we say. When you could go to other groups and hear them talk about salacious nonsense over and over again, details about this person or that person, whatever. Maybe you find that more interesting. But the bottom line is you're not going to find this message. And part of the reason why you have to go to all these different places to get this information like a bee trying to pollinate is that you're programmed to believe that not one person could be the source of the truth, that the truth must be something that can be sourced from multiple different people, because surely there must be many people out there that know the truth. And all you've got to do is search them out and find them and glean and filter and get whatever it is that you can and find out what resonates with you. And somehow you're going to get a big picture of the truth. When the reality, which should be obvious by now, is there is only one source for truth. And the hard fact that makes it so difficult for you to accept that is that you will not accept that the truth is only coming from one person, because that would suggest that that one person is special, and you've been trained to think that you're special. Mommy said you're special. Daddy said you're special. Your teacher said you're special. Your diploma says you're special. Your wife and kids say you're special. The guys at the office say you're special. Everybody's special. One nation under God. All humans created equal and all that. And that's why you want to go to all these different sources for information, because you think nobody's special. Surely the mob knows it. You're just not tuned in. And this mob, somebody else, this group of somebody else's, is already done the legwork and the homework, is going to provide it to you. Now, here's the thing about special, and of course this isn't the topic of the show, I'll get into that, but here's the thing about special. You know what's really special? It's not just knowing something, it's being genetically special, because that thing that you know, the ability to know that stuff, is genetic. In the old days, those people were king. Okay? And their children were king. You know why their children were king? Because genetically they were special too. Until it all got screwed up all to hell. And you know what? That goes, and the reason why it was like that, because it goes back, way back, to these bloodlines of people who were very sophisticated way back when. Okay? So their genetic bloodline has got information gleaned from all these generations. And that's how they can make these executive decisions and be special and know stuff that no one else knows. But mathematically, as far as we're concerned, Getty-wise, I shouldn't have to even say this, because out of 8 billion or whatever people, I'm the only one that has done this in history. And yet still, only now we're starting to pick up, and yet I still have Trumpers trying to cash in on this shit, and people that are listening they're just not really satisfied, and they need to go elsewhere and listen to different versions of other bullshit that they think is somehow important when it's not. Now, I also wanted to talk about the war in Ukraine a little bit, and maybe we'll get to that. But first, I need to talk about this whole white hat thing. Now I know that under the Getty, under LA, in any of these bunkers, in any of these tunnels, in any of these entrances, there's a huge amount of territory. There's a huge amount of walking. There's a lot of transportation that has to take place to get from point A to point B. And if we're going to do what we are going to do, and if we're ever going to move into the phase where we have to do it physically, again, this is going to require a lot of feet, a lot of legs, a lot of boots, a lot of people capable of walking and doing this exercise. Now, Rambo told me a long time ago, get in shape. You're going to have to be walking long tunnels. And I'm thinking, I hate hiking. Seriously, I'm an old man. Did I mention I was 65? You're going to be 65? Yes. What does it say that? Cinco. How do you say? Sorry, Cinco? What? 65? No, 65. Okay. I got to make sure I don't fix. Anyway, 65. Cumpleaños. Anyway, completed years. It wasn't until I heard cumpleaños that I understood the concept of birthday. You've completed those years, cumpleaños. So I will have completed 65 years, starting on 66. Oh my God. I beat my dad. Going on 6, Dad. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, white hats, walking those tunnels. Okay, so like I said, I myself do not claim to be in shape to clear out these tunnels, to lead all these guys that need to be doing this. Now, this is the point I'm getting to. It's these guys. You know, we said call out the Marines and help get the authorities. Here's the thing about us humans, especially us civilized humans, people that have been living in cities, what have you, or hell, most humans in general, those of you that are listening and have been, exposed to the mission, I know a lot of you have said, we got to go down there and root out these guys and hang them and blah, 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 everything else. But here's the thing. This is what I want you to really understand. I myself can't do it. I see having to use vehicles, having, whatever, hauled around. Someone's going to have to give me a piggyback. That's too much walking. Who's going to do it? Who's going to do this work? The white hats? What white hats? The police? The FBI? Surely there must be somebody. The UN? LAPD? The Sheriff's Department? BLM? Speaking of BLM. No, that's rude. I shouldn't do that. Okay, never mind. I'm going to do it anyway. Christian! He's in the air. He can't hear me right now. He was supposed to be here at 7 a.m. this morning, but there was a hiccup, as he says. And he didn't get on the plane until 5 p.m. Let me see, it's 6:16 right now. So he's not supposed to arrive in L.A. until about 7. When he gets there, he's going to have to get on an Uber and Uber his way over to BJ's and Going to meet him there. Going to have dinner and meet him there. Yes, he's going to have to go. He's not even going to get to check into his room. He's going to have to go straight to BJ's because, damn it, we have a party planned for his butt, and he needs to come out and do that. But at the same time, tonight I had planned on having him, and we're going to do a little show. In fact, tomorrow we have a lot of work to do, but I've got Jose here. We're going to do a little video. We're going to have a little silly little video, the three of us. You can see us on, the magic of camera. But so that should be fun, something to look forward to if you guys are listening right now. You go, oh, hell, hey, Christian's coming out. Anyway, we're going to be productive, okay? But no, I promised everybody that I was going to find a way to blame him for something not being right tonight. Oh, yeah, that's right, my show, the quality of my show. But no, back to the show. Okay, people, seriously. You're listening to me right now. I know you're no different than me in this respect. You're not going to go down there and clear out all these cavernous hallways. I mean, there are so many tunnels that even the people that built the tunnels and live down there never frequent some of these things. Some of them were built 100 years ago, and they just sit there. Cobwebs. Not being used. Now, I don't know about you, but here's the thing. To do this job, we have to scour every square inch, everything, every square inch. Who's going to do that? I'm telling you, I can't do that. That's like going to Disneyland. I get wiped out halfway through the day. Oh, I haven't even made it to Toontown yet. Come on. No, I'm not going to climb that. Anyway, so you guys, who's going to do it? We're assuming the military is going to do it. The good guys are going to do it. And we've been so programmed to think that there's something like that millions, tens of millions of people actually believe that. The Trump followers, the ones that consider themselves woke, the ones that listen to all the nonsense that have been being told that children are being rescued. The latest twist right now, and this is actually making the rounds right now, and it's not going away, is a meme, which is basically a picture of the Getty, and it starts out, you thought Epstein Island was bad, wait till you learn about this place. And then they go on to say, it has 12 floors underground, 12 floors, get that? As if that was like a basement thing. And then they say 2 million women and children were there up until 2002 or something of this nature, or 2000, whatever, 10 or 18, I don't know, something of this nature. Anyway, implying that they're not there now. They were there. In other words, it was bad. It had 2 million, and they were there. It's not saying where they are now or what happened to them. It's kind of alluding. You're supposed to think, oh, it's leaving the door open for you to think that they were rescued. It's not there anymore, and whatever evil took place is not happening anymore. That's what they want you to think. But again, it's bullshit. First of all, I didn't say it. All of this crap is based on what I said. Because again, there's that one singular person thing. I get to be the source on this because I am the source on this. That 1,100,000 or whatever, 100,000 children under the Getty. That's me. That's the only number that should be out there. I don't recall Allie Carter, the only other person who's publicly claimed to have been down there, coming up with a number and saying how many children are down there. I don't know. Has Allie Carter ever made a claim and said there's a shitload of children? I mean, where our other witness, the young woman that's not around right now, she's kind of relocating because she got chased out of town. Gee, I wonder why. She said it was countless. She'd be in a room and having her loosh collected, and she said there were hundreds in there. Chairs with children strapped to them. As far as the eye could see, practically, a big giant room full of them. It was like a gymnasium, I'm sure. Probably too many for a 12-year-old to count, or 11-year-old in her case. Anyway, so the point being, people, is that the unsavory, grim, distasteful reality that we have to face is that we don't even have the numbers to rally around the Getty. I mean, apparently the Occupy the Getty movement, Occupy Wall Street movement was having an anniversary or something, and hardly anybody showed up. It was a joke. Obviously, the whole thing's a joke. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But we can't get the people to come. I don't want to name names, but I tried to get someone else to come out here and visit us tonight, and he said, no, I'll take a rain check. I'm not being mean to him. But that reminds me of when Jesus, well, in the Gospel of Thomas, where he's talking about the master, he said heaven is like the man that has a house and he takes in some guests, tenants, or he prepares a big feast and he invites them, and they all have reasons why they don't want to come. Basically, the bottom line is, he said, those people that did not accept the invitation, there's no place for them in the Father's kingdom. So, and I'm not just talking about you showing up for my party. I'm talking about all of us showing up for when the time comes to actually do the walking through the hallways. So in other words, there are no white hats. We are the white hats. We are the white hats. Our physical little bodies are going to have to do this. And obviously, this is going to be like a video game from hell, literally, as far as the dangerous possibilities. This is why we need to have 100% capitulation, and we need to have unconditional surrender. That's the only way this thing's going to work. But we can't sit on our butts and watch TV or scan the internet and look for reports of talking heads telling us about how this is all going on, and we want to have information. And how many people thought this is already think this is going on, and you've got no pictures whatsoever? I mean, my God. We've got babies from Fallujah that have been damaged by depleted uranium munitions used by the U.S. military, born with all sorts of nasty birth defects because of the radiation. And these children are being passed off as rescues from tunnels, deprived of sunlight. This is why they look like that. They're like clone babies, as if to suggest that, no, you don't need to see pictures of these babies. They're horrible. They're disgusting. They're never going to come back into society. Look what they look like. They're mutants. Forget those babies. That's what they want you to think. Anyway, so on one hand, I'm happy that the Getty word is getting out there, and in spite of me, it seems to be spreading. And the enemy, they can't help themselves. And when you say, well, I would have never heard about your mission if it wasn't for this guy or that guy that led me here, tangentially through this or that. No, bullshit. Those people got in the way. They were standing between you and I for a long time. All that time you were spending looking at them, you should have been looking at me. And the only reason why you couldn't see me was because they're in the way, and because I have blockades and walls and censorship and everything being done to make sure you don't hear about me. You're lucky if you get through. Those of you that are listening live, you know what I'm talking about. It's not easy. It seems like we get less and less reach every day, and yet at the same time, as our message becomes more and more difficult to get, we become more hip. But none of that means anything if you guys aren't willing to get off your ass when the time comes and to jump when I say jump. And don't come and say, well, I'm here for you. I appreciate what you're doing. I'm a big fan. But, I'm all about figuring this stuff out for myself. No, This is an army. This is an army. You are the army. You're the foot soldiers. You're supposed to make that sacrifice, and you're supposed to Give your all. Some gave some gave all. None of you have had to give your all yet. Don't you realize if you're in my circle, you're probably going to outlive everybody else? I have yet to see one of my followers die. Okay, I've heard plenty of stories about people going, oh, I'm under attack. Well, yeah, that's because you treated me like shit and you had malice or whatever the fuck, and now you're wondering why you're under attack. Wow, that happens all the time. But I'll tell you, it does get boring here at Occupy the Getty. People go, whoa, what are the Jedi doing? Oh, I don't know, slaughtering demons. But during the day, when you'd think we'd be getting attacked by the bad guy, no, we're having peaceful lives because we live in that bubble. We're not fearing death. They fear us. We are the death. We are the change. We're the ones that are doing all this crap. And if nobody does anything, if none of you ever go down those hallways and clear this stuff out, we're going to keep doing it every night. And that's all we do. But we're the only ones doing it. The only white hats are the Jedi. All right? The only military down there doing anything are the military training to defend it from us because they're waiting for us. So when the time comes, God willing, I'll still be able to walk at least a little bit. And some of you youngsters are going to have to help me out. If you have to put me in a wagon and pull me, I don't care. You get me through that damn labyrinth. We got a lot of work to do. Anyway. So that's the main thing is you got to stop relying on somebody because even I find myself doing that too. I mean, I'm doing that right now with you guys. I'm just assuming that when the time comes and everybody gives up, the bad guys give up, there's going to be enough of us that are going to step up. They're going to be able to go down there and make sure everybody's complying and that we've physically gone down there and rescued who needs to be rescued and cleaned up after, well, the evil shit. Cleaned up after the Satanists. Somebody's got to do it. Anyway, those are going to be some special people. And we should all be thinking how we can better prepare to be doing these operations ourselves. Those of you, and I know some of you are out there, you still say, oh, when is this going to get real? When is somebody going to march? When are you going to do this? This is not a protest. This is not a march. We already know we win. I'm worried about what happens after we win, when we actually got to go through those hallways and open those doors and clean that stuff out. Like I said, I'm not up to marching 20 miles a day, 12 miles a day. I get winded pulling weeds in the backyard. All right? So unless, we'll just get some, what do they call those things? Med beds. Yeah, I'll jump on the med bed. I'll regress 20 years. Yeah, I'll put on some muscles. Yeah, okay. Yes, sure. No. I think the reality that we're really looking for is going to be a little bit different than the one we're assuming is going to happen. And the only thing that's going to make it different from what needs to happen and what's probably happening right now is that everybody's got to kind of step up and make up their minds that they're going to get ready to do this themselves right now and get ready for it and realize that talk is cheap. All right? And if you haven't figured this out yet, we are at war. You've only got one commander. You don't have a whole bunch of them. You're not, if you're just sitting there learning, it's not going to do any good. You know what? While you're learning, why don't you start lifting weights and get on a treadmill or something, whatever it takes. Get ready to start marching through those tunnels. Because eventually, we're going to need a lot of people doing that. Because it's not just under the Getty. It's underneath everything. The whole world. So, yep. And those are going to have to be some special people there. People capable of absorbing what they see, not freaking out emotionally, not becoming destroyed, and not acting like savages. It's be a whole nother world. So maybe we aren't capable, and maybe the enemy is depending on that, but I don't know. I have other plans, and I know it's not going to happen unless we get you guys involved. Okay? All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about Bakhmut or what's soon to be called something else here in a few days. I always blow it. I hear the words. Artemasov, never mind. Bakhmut. All right, I'm gonna talk to you about what's going on geopolitically real quick as soon as I come back in a few minutes. Okay, thanks. I could go on a little bit about this other subject, but I do want to talk about Russia some more. What is it, kitten? See if he needs the door open or whatever he needs. Don't let the white cat back there. Anyway, it's really up to you guys. It's just like anything else. But let's just shift gears right now. I want to talk about this Russian thing. Obviously, I need to get this done as quick as possible because there's no really talking with. We are collectively known now as the West, which is really weird to me because it was that so-called Oriental influence, as they called it back in the times of, what was his name, Benjamin Franklin, that brought about all this nonsense. And ultimately, if you look at Ukraine being the source of all this corruption in Russia and in the West, with the formal Chabad and let's just say the cancer that became the Illuminati, etc., the so-called New World Order, as if that doesn't exist in Russia. Come on. The Durham report comes out and it says Trump is not guilty of collusion with Russia in the election. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Hello, it's not the Russians. It's the mafia. It may even be single members of the mafia, but collectively it is the mafia of which he is a member. But again, considering the entire world and both parties and the entire system of the world is run by this single entity, this single so-called mafia, which is just a euphemism for a much larger thing, which some people call a cabal, New World Order, etc. It's actually called Intertel. The people I worked for, the people that run the stuff under the gate, people do all that stuff. Anyway, that's the enemy. So all this nonsense, finger pointing and diversion and reclassifying truths as things that they're not. Oh my God, it's like I see people still talking about Comey and said, Comey was wrong. Comey's corrupt. This whole thing was corrupt. They were trying to do this Russian. Come on, Comey was a damn mafia banker who helped launder drug money and worked in collusion with the New York Attorney's Office to get off easy when they had a show trial. And what did they do with that head of that banking company, HSBC, that got busted laundering drug money? What did they do with him? They made him head of the FBI. Who does that? How do you go from being a dirty banker, busted and tried for laundering dirty money, drug money, billions of it? How do you go from that to head of the FBI? Amazing. I don't know. Probably the same way the attorney for New York that was prosecuting him became attorney general under Obama. I don't know. Gee, it smells like the whole damn thing's one big payoff, because it is. But everybody's stupid. Vote for Trump. Vote for Biden. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's see. Back to the whole Russia thing. That's the thing. Like I said, I resent being lumped in with the West right now. I resent that Russia, including the Orthodox Church, which Russia represents right now, is being snubbed by the West. Zelensky, that scumbag leader of Ukraine, went to visit the Pope recently. This is in his big tour of, Europe. He's always asking for money. I mean, he wants new arms. The arms are all being destroyed. As soon as he gets them, they get destroyed. But he keeps asking for more. He goes to see the Pope. And what's he do? He dresses like crap, the first thing he does. He brings a whole entourage of people dressed in khakis and camouflage, look like crap. You don't wear camouflage to see the Pope. They presented him with a couple gifts. One was a body armor with painting on it. What was the painting? I think it was some religious iconography. I believe it was a picture of the Madonna holding Christ, only Christ was blacked out. And the purpose of this was to signify the loss of Ukrainian children. Now, needless to say, this is very offensive to the Pope, but you also got to remember, you know, Zelensky is over there burning churches. When I say churches, I'm talking about Russian Orthodox churches, or what we call Eastern Orthodox churches. But hell, that's no different. I mean, Rome has been doing that forever, burning down churches. Hell, there used to be this country called Constantinople. Maybe you've heard about it. Now they call it, or that was a city. Now they call it Istanbul. That was the capital of the Byzantine Empire, which was the Eastern Orthodox half of the Christianity. Back in the day, you had two sides, Roman and Eastern, split right down the middle. Well, along came the Crusades and they wiped out the Eastern. Now you've got vestiges. So yeah, this war is still going on. So the Pope, who is anti-Gnostic, as we know, he's already, what's he going to do? Why would he even be having a meeting with this Nazi? There's a long history of popes dealing with Nazis. Anyway, back to the war. Now, I'll say right away, first of all, a couple of days ago, well, very recently, there was a big strike. There's always big strikes right now in Kiev, but there was one big strike in particular where the Kinjal missile, which is apparently Russian for dagger, the so-called hypersonic ballistic missile, was used on Kiev to basically destroy Patriot batteries. So we're going to talk about this Patriot system thing that happened. Now here's the interesting thing, first of all. The Patriot battery is made to shoot down incoming missiles. Okay, in other words, the threat is the incoming missile. Now, a Patriot battery has 4 launchers with 4 missiles each, so that's 16. So 2 Patriot batteries has 32 missiles. Now, each one of these missiles there's a little bit of debate, but they're roughly about 5 million, a little under 5 million, near as I can tell. They're made by Raytheon, I think. Anyway, and that's just the missile, 5 million. So that's 32 times 5 million, whatever that is. And then, of course, there's the cost of the radars and the support vehicles and everything. It's all together, it's about at least $1.5 billion per system. And there were 2 systems there. One that was supplied by Germany or the Netherlands, I believe, and one that was supplied by the U.S. Could be one was from Germany, one was from the Netherlands, but obviously they both came from the U.S. But anyway, the bottom line is they trained these Ukrainians to use these things. They parked them in 2 different locations, mind you, in Kiev, different sides of Kiev. So the Russians said, don't you do that. They did it. So what do the Russians do? So now remember, now the Patriots are there to shoot down ballistic missiles. So in other words, if you're going to try to destroy Kiev, you're going to attack some target in Kiev, the Patriots are there to try to intercept that thing and destroy it before it can hit the target and destroy it. So what happens? The Patriot becomes the target. The target of military value that needed to be destroyed was the Patriot. So in other words, you're creating the target that needed to be destroyed. What would they destroy if that wasn't there? Nothing, because there's nothing there of that much value. 150 million or whatever it is, of $500 million, $1.5 billion per system. Now, so what happened? Now, a Kinjal missile is hypersonic, which basically means it's moving at Mach 10 or something like that. And in the upper atmosphere, because remember, it is a ballistic missile, so it technically does travel at somewhat of a ballistic path, which means a parabolic arc. But in the upper atmospheric phase, the thing is still thrusting. And when it's thrusting in the higher atmospheres, the resistance of the air becomes much less, especially the very higher atmospheres when there's no air whatsoever. And this will allow this thing to move extremely fast. Now, when it does encompass air, I guess what happens is this thing creates a plasma. So I suspect that what's happening is the Russians have introduced some sort of gas that ionizes and at these speeds, at these temperatures, and it creates an envelope, a bubble, if you will, surrounding this thing of this plasma, which is plasma. I'm not going to go into what plasma is right now, but this protects it from the heat and the burning that it would experience otherwise. Also, it makes it impervious to radar, makes it invisible, so there's no detecting it during this phase whatsoever. Now, when it starts to re-enter the atmosphere, and of course this thing's flying at a very steep arc, it means it goes very up high and comes down almost straight. By the time it's reaching its terminal velocity, or it's behind it's getting close to its target, it's traveling straight down. Now, a lot of people, and I myself included, thought that meant that when it's traveling downward, closing on the target, that it's actually firing engines, and that is driving this thing ever so fast, and that this is why it's reaching Mach 10, because it's using gravity to hurtle towards its target and accelerate at the same time. Well, this is true. This is a great, ask any pilot, they'll tell you when you point your nose down to the ground, you're going to pick up speed really fast. This is true. But here's the thing, especially for a projectile like that traveling at, hypersonic speeds coming from the upper atmosphere, when you start hitting thick atmosphere like you find at the lower levels, it's like cement. You're going to burn. You're going to have a lot of friction. If you're traveling at that speed, you will burn up. Doesn't matter if you have plasma, whatever, you're going to burn up. So the reality is these missiles actually have to slow down somewhat in their final terminal phase, and they actually slow down to the point to where they actually become subsonic. But the point is that when it's traveling at these ultra high speeds, remember, once it comes out of that plasma, it's still traveling pretty fast. That radar picks up on it. You've only got a minute, maybe, before that thing hits you. You're only going to pick up on that thing at the last second of your life. You're going, holy shit, that thing's coming right at us. And you're going to start pushing buttons like a madman as you're pissing your pants. Trust me, I know what the adrenaline's like. You're getting adrenaline's going to flow. All of a sudden, you're sitting there, it's relatively calm, having your coffee. All of a sudden, you got fucking Kinjal missiles heading straight at you. Hypersonic speeds. They just came on radar, and they're, like 30 seconds away. What are you going to do, Mr. Ukrainian Air Defense for Kiev? You know what you're going to do? You're going to push buttons. You're going to push buttons like a crazy person. You're going to launch fucking rockets as fast as you fucking can. And that's exactly what they did. Now, when you're firing off a Patriot, remember, each system, each operator has a battery of 16. So there's a guy in each one of these little command posts pushing buttons, and he's got up to 16 pushes of those buttons. You got to wait for the first rocket to whoosh, clear the system, and he's got to wait for that thing to recapture the target, and he can switch over and fire the next rocket. So what happens? The United States gives Ukraine 2 Patriot systems to protect Kiev. Fire them up. Russia immediately launches 2 Kinjal missiles. And those guys push those buttons as fast as they could. It's like you got a semi-automatic rifle, and you're going to pull that trigger until you're pulling the trigger and there's no more bullets. That's exactly what they did. So there's footage of these missiles going up into the sky, and you can see that when the first one goes up, it's at a slight angle. But as these things keep going up, they start going more straight up. It's hilarious. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Of course, there's no sound. Now just imagine you're the Ukrainian in there. You're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Here it comes, here it comes. Ah! You're pushing those buttons as fast as you can. Each one of those buttons, Was it 5 million each? Boom, $5 million. Boom, $5 million. Boom, $5 million. Just like that. You're like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I don't care. So anyway, so that means basically the whole contingent of Patriots fired off their load. That's without reloading. That's all 32 missiles. That's 2 batteries at 2 Kinjal missiles trying to intercept those things. $5 million each. $5 million each. Now, bear in mind, a Kinjal missile costs $1 million. It's a big, huge Russian, it's one of the most expensive Russian missiles they have, next to SS-300, 400. Kinjal missile is an adaptation of the, let me see, it's the, I can't remember the name right now, but it's basically an air-launched version of a land-based intercontinental ballistic missile. Anyway, it's not a super weapon. You can't shoot them down. But here's the thing. Here's my idea. Now, the Ukrainians, of course, they told the press, they told the Pentagon that 6 or 7 Kinjal missiles were fired at them, and they were able to successfully intercept and shoot down 6. But everyone admits, now if the Russian, you listen to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they'll tell you 1 Kinjal missile hit a target, hit a system. Now remember, these things are spread out. They're little modules hooked up by cables. So which did it hit? Did it hit the radar? Did it hit the command module? Did it hit one of the launchers? Either way, 1 got through. Now here's the thing. When they say hit, they didn't say it was destroyed, it was blown up, whatever. What does that mean? That means when this, okay, first of all, think about it this way. This is what I think happened. Patriot missile is relatively small compared to a Kinjal missile. The warhead's not that big. The warhead's probably relatively big on a Kinjal missile, but when it's coming straight down at those speeds with that mass coming straight down, it's kind of like if you shot a gun at a moving freight train and you thought you were going to obliterate the freight train. No, you're not. That thing's going to keep going straight down. Now, if you look at the smoke trail, the patterns that were recorded by the amateur filmmakers and bloggers over there in Ukraine, you'll see there's a smoke trail that goes straight down. And there's another smoke trail that comes up at an angle that intercepts it. Now, when that smoke trail intercepted the one going straight down, it might have deviated the path ever so slightly, but it kept going straight down. So in other words, when you've got something that big and heavy with that much mass coming straight down on top of you, and you hit it with a little missile, you may bump it, you may disable the warhead, whatever. But guess what? At the very best case scenario, you now have the debris from that thing coming at subsonic speeds or supersonic speeds straight down on top of you. And you know what? What once was a single projectile is now a debris field because you blew it up, and it's going to take out everything within a much larger radius now just by hitting it with the debris. Now, here's the thing. So the Russians don't admit to destroying the Patriot system, but the Americans, the USA says they're withdrawing one of the systems to be repaired. So in other words, the theater, what's left of the theater is now 50% of what was delivered. They've now got half of what they had to protect Kiev until that system is supposedly repaired and returned. What else are they going to do? You know, here's the thing. They can only make 250 Patriot missiles a year at Raytheon here in the United States, assuming it's Raytheon. It's just the missiles. It's not the launchers and everything else, the radars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are just the missiles. This is the ammunition. So here we have 32 missiles, roughly whatever it was, 150 million added up, do the math, 5 million each. Sounds like 150 million to me. Probably more. Anyway, those missiles got shot off in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. to try to intercept $2 million worth of enemy incoming. And one of those incoming was able to disable this system and actually complete its target and remove it from the theater, which sounds to me like it did its job. So, $1.5 billion system taken out by $1 million missile that shot off $75 million worth of missiles trying to defend itself. Still died. The other system that didn't die also fired off $75 million worth of missiles, but we're paying for that, people. 2 minutes. It only took them 2 minutes to push those buttons that fast to launch off those missiles. You don't mind, right? Right? $150 million in 2 minutes for 32 missiles out of a national stockpile of 250 million a year. That's like nothing. Let me see. What should we do? How about we give them 500 missiles? Let me see. At that math, it'll only take them what? Figure it out. How many Kinjal missiles do the Russians have to launch at $1 million each to deplete the Patriot stockpile worldwide? Guess what? They can make a lot more of those Kinjal missiles than we can make of the Patriots, people. Figure it out. Anyway. So that's the reality. Oh, and I should correct myself. Like I said, 2 of those Kinjal missiles came down on another city here recently, Kaminsky, I think it's called. Kaminsky. But anyway, they hit an ammo depot. Probably more than one ammo depot. Now, this is a relatively big urban city in Ukraine in the west. Oh, look at that. Time's almost up for the show. I just want to say that I told everybody that radioactive debris went up in that thing. Turn out that that's not really true. The gamma spikes were normal, but that's not saying depleted uranium wasn't destroyed. But near as we can tell, we don't really have that information. But bottom line is, there will be no offensive as long as the Russians keep blowing up the ammo. And to be honest with you, the Europeans right now, this is what's coming out of Europe, they're basically trying to ask Zelensky how much it's going to cost for him to just go away and move to one of his homes in Italy or something of this nature. Molly Hatchet, what? I'm sorry, I'm trying to set up my music and just turn on Molly Hatchet. So seriously, the European Union per se has had it with this guy, Zelensky. I don't see him lasting much longer. All right. I'm just going to remind everybody real quick. Please help out. Like I said, my birthday's in 10 days, and all your donations are appreciated. But if you can, please use the PayPal, which is StephenKelley714@yahoo.com. Say it's for friend or family. It's very important you find that button. Otherwise, I don't get it. I got to give it back. Okay. I appreciate it. Also, join the Telegram channel if you have not done it. Please get Telegram, join it, make connections with people there. It's really, really important right now. And, of course, the Telegram channel is Occupy/Stephen D. Kelley. And like I said, we can talk about it. You can pretend like you're learning, and you can act like you're doing something. But in the end, if you're not willing to take that time and make those muscles hurt because you had to tromp through those tunnels looking for kids that need to be rescued, just be ready for that crap, because there aren't any white hats, okay? It's going to be us doing this stuff. I really hope you got that through your head. All right, with that, I'm going to remind you, my name is Stephen D. Kelley. This is the Stephen D. Kelley Show. We are TruthCat Radio, www.truthcatradio. It's now 7 p.m. It's 5/18, 2023. I'll see you guys next week, God willing. Okay, with that, I'm going to say good night, God bless, adios, and goodbye.